I mean, this was the first movie where I've had to wear a bulletproof vest. They tried to storm the stage. Luckily for me...
Hold it.
The joke only works if you survive the punchline. When Sacha Baron Cohen walked on stage at a gun rights rally in Olympia, Washington, he didn't just expect resistance, he expected danger.
And the problem was that some of the militia groups that were in this rally had been antagonizing the Black Lives Matter protests. And so as revenge, some of the Black Lives Matter protesters were coming over to confront them.
He was stepping into a crowd that didn't know it was the set of a comedy scene. They thought it was their rally, their space, their voice being amplified. What they didn't know was that one of the world's most notorious satirists was standing in front of them.
I wrote this song with my two best buddies.
In disguise, armed with a microphone and a plan to expose the absurdity of their world. Later, he would describe this moment with a simple, chilling line. He genuinely feared for my life. For more than 2 decades, Cohen has lived in the strange space between comedy and danger. His entire career has been built on an extraordinary act of tightrope walking. He becomes someone else, inserts himself into real situations, and lets the people around him reveal who they truly are. Ali G was a clueless but sharp-tongued mock interviewer who tricked politicians, celebrities, and business leaders into saying things they'd never say in a real interview.
You were saying that it got nothing to do with young people in Asia. You were saying that occasionally there's some doctors here who may be from Asia who do this.
That's correct, but they could also be from the United States.
But they're mainly from Asia.
No.
Even
No.
The ones that are there behave themselves very well.
No.
Bruno took him into the fashion world and exposed its vanities and prejudices. Borat, his most famous creation, pushed him deeper into the American heartland than ever before, and into more dangerous territory than anyone realized at the time. These characters weren't built for television studios. They existed in the real world. They depended on Cohen being able to blend in long enough to capture moments of unfiltered truth. That's what made it so brilliant. And that's also what made it so dangerous. As his fame grew after the release of Borat in 2006, disguises became harder to pull off. People recognized him in airports. Crowds chanted his catchphrases. The risk of being exposed early grew every time he walked into a room with a hidden camera. Yet, he didn't stop. If anything, the stakes only got higher. By 2020, Cohen was preparing what would turn out to be the most dangerous scene of his career. The United States was in a state of political volatility. The pandemic had become a lightning rod for conspiracy theories. Anti-government rallies were springing up across the country, and armed groups had begun appearing more openly in public spaces. One such gathering was March for Our Rights 3, a gun rights rally held in Olympia, Washington. It was exactly the kind of environment where a stunt like his could go catastrophically wrong. Cohen and his team created a fake political action committee to get themselves booked as performers at the rally. He arrived in disguise as a bearded country singer, complete with overalls and a straw hat. The goal was simple on paper: sing a deliberately provocative song designed to mock the crowd's own rhetoric, film the reaction, and get out. But this wasn't a controlled set or a carefully arranged sketch. It was a live event. The crowd was armed, the security was minimal, and the risk was very real.
And then one person in the audience realized who I was, and then word started spreading that it was me. People started trying to storm the stage, but I had to finish the scene. Somebody pulled a gun, and luckily I had a great...
When Cohen took the stage, the plan seemed to be working. He launched into a song full of satirical lines about conspiracy theories and right-wing slogans, baiting the crowd to sing along.
Inject him with the Wuhan flu. Inject him with the Wuhan flu.
To his astonishment, they did. There's a surreal moment in the footage. Hundreds of people are waving flags, cheering, clapping to the rhythm. For a few minutes, it's as if the disguise has worked perfectly. But the danger with undercover comedy is that success is fragile. It only takes one person to recognize you. And then it happened. A voice from the crowd shouted his name. Heads turned, murmurs spread. The cheers began to falter. Cohen has described how quickly the mood shifted. What was once a playful, if uncomfortable crowd became tense. People who had been laughing were now glaring. The line between satire and hostility evaporated in seconds. Before the rally, Cohen had been given a piece of advice he'd never wanted to hear. Security professionals told him there was a genuine possibility someone in the crowd might try to shoot him. This wasn't paranoia, it was risk assessment. He later said, "I was told that there was a chance that somebody might try to shoot at me. I was very aware that once the crowd realized that I was a fake, it could turn really ugly and it could be really dangerous." For only the second time in his entire career, he wore a bulletproof vest.
I mean, this was the first movie where I've had to wear a bulletproof vest.
In a hotel bathroom before the event, he stared at himself in the mirror in costume. The makeup artist finished the final touches. Cohen turned to him and asked, half joking, half serious, "Do you think I'm going to get shot today?" The makeup artist didn't know what to say, and in that silence was the reality of what he was about to do. Once the disguise began to unravel, everything happened fast. People pushed towards the stage. Others began shouting abuse. The jeering got louder, angrier. One man, according to Cohen, reached for a gun.
Somebody pulled a gun, and luckily I had a great guard who got the gun out of the guy's hand. And
at that moment, his security team made a decision. One person pulled a gun, he later explained. My security whispered, "It's not worth it." The team moved quickly. Cohen was rushed off stage, but the crowd wasn't satisfied with seeing him leave. Threats to storm the stage echoed. Some started moving in that direction. The sense of control, if it had ever truly existed, was gone. The escape plan was already in place. Cohen and his crew jumped into a waiting ambulance, meant to whisk them away if the stunt went wrong. But the crowd followed. In interviews, he's described the chaos that unfolded. The sound of pounding fists on the ambulance doors, the shouting, the movement outside. "We had to escape in an ambulance. I had to hold the door shut while they tried to get in." For someone who had spent years pushing boundaries in the name of satire, this moment was unlike anything else. There were no punchlines left. No character could protect him. He wasn't Ali G. He wasn't Borat. He was just Sacha, a man sitting inside an ambulance, hoping the doors would hold. In the aftermath of the incident, Cohen began talking openly about just how dangerous that day had been. It wasn't bravado. It wasn't a promotional gimmick. It was a moment of genuine reckoning. He'd spent his career walking into rooms where he didn't belong, relying on his wits, his disguises, and his crew to keep him safe. But this was different. This was a heavily armed rally in one of the most politically polarized periods in recent American history. "I don't think I can do that again," he said in a later interview. "It's too dangerous now. I have a family." For someone who had built a career on undercover comedy, it was a stark admission. He'd worn a bulletproof vest on 2 occasions. He didn't want there to be a third. The decision to step away from undercover stunts didn't end his career. It transformed it. In 2025, Cohen posted a photograph of his muscular new frame, joking that he was hard launching my midlife crisis. It was both a wink to his audience and a sign of a new direction. He was stepping into the world of comic book villains, cast as Mephisto in Ironheart. It's a far cry from sneaking into gun rallies under a false name. Playing a Marvel villain comes with its own pressures, fan expectations, publicity, intense scrutiny, but not the risk of a crowd storming a stage with real weapons. At the same time, he returned to more conventional acting roles, including a monochrome Netflix rom-com, Ladies First. It was a shift away from the unpredictability of live undercover work, and towards something more controlled, more sustainable, and above all, safer. There are few comedians in history who have taken risks quite like Sacha Baron Cohen. Most never have to think about bulletproof vests. Most never find themselves clinging to the inside of an ambulance door while a mob tries to break in. But for Cohen, that was the cost of his comedy. The most dangerous scene of his career wasn't fictional. It wasn't scripted. It was real. And for a moment, it could have ended with something far worse than just bad press. I genuinely feared for my life. That moment changed him. It didn't end his story. It just sent it in a different direction.